3,
All
2,
right.
1. Here
Hey
we
y'all.
are.
Sorry y'all. Put my Vaseline on. I can't be ashy talking to y'all. Hey everybody.
Welcome back.
What's going on? Welcome to Collard Greens and Sushi. I am Melinda. She is.
I'm Kelsey.
What's going on, y'all? Kelsey, what's going on?
We were just talking about motherhood and like childbirth and everything. So I was like, we're just shooting the breeze, talking about our experiences. Might as well record it.
Yes. And you know what? We're just going to yap about that. And let me tell you, parents, expected parents, parents who are already parents, parents wishing to be parents, everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. You know, and please
everybody's
understand,
experience is different.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, please, especially my expected parents, my parents wanting to be parents. Your story is uniquely for you. Your path, whatever it is uniquely for you. Your birth story is uniquely for you. Like everybody, please don't do the comparison is a thief of joy. Please don't compare your birth story to somebody else's.
Because it'll be totally different. You know, what started it was that Messiah was saying he saw the childbirth video, the whole video.
Yeah. So my son is doing health class. It's the end of the year, and of course they leave the good stuff till the end. And of course, you know, he was able to see a wonderful human being bring another little tiny human being into the world, and he's a bit traumatized because he was like, wow, it just opened up. I was like, yes, that's what it does.
I think it's better for him to have seen the reality though. Like I was telling him, you know, I went to Catholic school and it was like a baby is born, oh man, and that's not anything near what happens in real life. So it's good to know the reality.
I did the health video in 8th grade, so I saw everything, and it was just like, wow. And then of course, when my godson was born, I saw it in real life. You know, when I was 17.
Oh wow!
So actually witnessing a birth at that age, I will say, was the best birth control. No money could pay for. It was priceless because I was like, I'm not doing this.
You're like, I don't want any parts of that.
Get away from me. I don't even want to kiss. We're gonna have to hug like this. Like, I was like, that was the best birth control ever, because I was like, oh, there's no way I'm doing this.
That was our 8th grade STD video in Catholic school, and that was very much like, you know, like that's what's gonna happen. That was the best birth control. That right there.
And I wish that like they had more. For me personally, I wish they had more of a graphic visual when it comes to STDs, because I feel like, I hate to say it, but when you're young, not even when you're young, just people who just have no kind of sexual discernment or sexual discipline, and they just out here raw dogging it wherever, because I think for the streets, because I think they believe that it's an abstract concept because they can't see it. You know what I'm saying? You can always be like, oh no, it's nasty. You get this, you get that, or you know, you might get with this one, you might get this discharge. Eventually, this will have this effect. But I feel like if you can actually see it, if you can look at it, you know,
yeah, definitely. That definitely. I remember some of those vividly. Some of those visuals and. Ugh. And then that's the thing, like that's not going to happen every time. It's not going to be everyone's outcome, but it definitely burned into my brain. And we had that first before we had the childbirth, because then, like I said, the childbirth was just like, oh man, and it was like 2 people marry, and of course it's a man and a woman, and they walk down the path with Jesus, and they're blessed by God. Oh man, and it's just like. Okay. And then, I was just talking about this with someone. I don't remember who, but I was just saying like, and I had the most amazing educational experience, you know, all jokes aside. I really did enjoy my Catholic school years. I'm very good friends with some people I went to school with still. We make jokes about it, me and my brother. Like I had amazing experience, especially up until 8th grade. But I would have to say this, like, we had a girl that just kind of disappeared towards the end of 8th grade. And it
Oh,
wasn't like she was sick, or it wasn't like, like she literally disappeared. It was just like,
right.
we'd be like, where's so and so? And nobody ever got a definitive answer. She got pregnant. And
Ah,
we can't have that in Catholic
they
school. We
they took
cannot
it back
have that.
to they took it back to the 1950s. She
Right,
went to go.
right. And I always wondered what, like, I mean, it was kind of just like, oh, your attention is diverted elsewhere. Oh, it's pizza day, or something like
Yeah,
that. And you're like, but in the back of your mind, you're like, but she's not sick. She's not in the hospital. Her
yeah,
parents didn't move. It was just never really answered until
yeah,
later on down the line. And people be like, she got pregnant. So,
yeah. They
yeah.
did. They did the 1950s. And with her
Hmm.
aunt, she's helping
Yep.
out her grandmother who's in Kalamazoo for a few months.
But yeah, no, I think it is good, like you said, bringing it back to
Yeah,
actually knowing what can happen, because like I
yeah.
said, that saved me in college. I saw some of the stuff that could possibly happen, and it
Mhm,
was still burned in my memory. The same thing with drugs. Like
mhm.
we were talking earlier, there's a show I watched called, was it Intervention? I think I watched it with my dad when I
Yeah,
was home one time.
intervention. Now,
And I
yeah,
said, if y'all see this, you never want to. It was literally like there
right.
was a girl that was, her and her boyfriend were both addicted. She's like, well, I guess I'm gonna go to the park now and meet some strangers to make some money so we could get high. And then the boyfriend was like, yeah, you can do that. It was like he was literally like, yeah, babe, you can do that. Okay, I'll be holding down the fort here, like just massaging her. You got this, like Gambaru. And I was like, ugh. And at the end of the episode, they were both, or maybe she was just clean. I can't really remember. But just
Mhm.
imagine having that video history of you like, I'm
Forever.
going to the park to meet
Yeah.
these strangers so we can
Get
get high.
yeah, get that money. Work them jobs.
Ooh,
Turn
no,
turn
yeah.
turn them tricks.
And
That
there's another good YouTuber that, but I don't really watch it that often because it's very depressing, called Soft White Underbelly.
yeah, oh girl. That oh,
Yes.
you for me personally, I'd be depressed. It's
I
very
can't, yeah.
informative and eye
Every
opening.
once in a while.
And I know some people he's gotten criticism because some people feel like he exploits these people. Um,
Uh
but at the end of the day, it's like, nobody's holding a gun to these people's heads. It's like, no, they're choosing to be there and whatnot. But I know the series he did with the incest family with like they it's like this Appalachian like incest family, like that one was wild.
oh, I
Um
can't imagine.
and there's another one, oh, I can't think of her name, but she's very much addicted. Um
Is it Rebecca?
yes.
Yo,
Yes.
when I watch that, I'm just like, this person is so amazing,
Yeah.
but it's so horrible.
Yeah.
Like they're so talented, but your
Yeah.
heart is just like,
Yeah. It's
they were
it's
done
it's
so wrong
wild.
by
It's
the world.
wild.
Yes. So
Oh,
that stuff right there, I'm like, oh no. Mm-mm. My
right.
drug of choice is red velvet cake and croissants, and those are
Girl,
dangerous enough by themselves.
girl. Who you telling? Sugar. I was like, I'll take sugar all day long.
Yeah.
This poop
Not to
will
say
just
it's
never go
better, but
there.
yeah, no.
Yeah, I feel you. But yeah, we didn't really get the drugs in we didn't, like I said, we talked about the STDs, but it was mainly more so focusing on the reproductive organs and how your body changes and yada yada yada, and this is intercourse and what happens in the stages of pregnancy, and then finally culminating into here is an actual live birth. Bam. That's more so
Wow.
what I got
Mm-hmm.
anyway. So, and I think Messiah, he just kind of had the similar thing because, well, he did this little interview with me about his birth, you know
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and asking me questions about his birth, but that was for a presentation for health, and it's so funny because my kids completely different births, like like
Yeah.
I had one end of the spectrum, I had the other end of the spectrum, and I was telling him because he was asking me like, oh, you know, what was it? Did you have a plan? I was like, well, you were supposed to, I was supposed to have a water birth with
Yeah,
him.
I
I was supposed
remember.
to have, yep, I was supposed to
You
have
had
birth
planned that out, like the whole
girl,
like
yeah.
hypnobirthing and everything like
It
that.
was
Yeah,
going the midwives at the
peaceful.
birthing center. It was just gonna be peaceful and candles and woo, and that was not what happened. Literally, again, expected parents or parents who are looking to expect and understand. Yes, it's great to have a birth plan. It's great to have an idea of how you want, as long as your baby comes healthy and as
That's
long as
really what
you
it
are
is.
safe, just
Yeah,
let
that's
it
really
be.
what.
Just let it be. Because let me tell you, and I think if anything, that's a precursor to what it's like being a parent, because you have an idea of, oh, this is how I'm gonna raise my child, and this is no, like there's no manual, y'all. And you can read all the books. I have tons of parenting books in here. I have tons of baby books here. Like, a lot of it is like medical stuff, as far as like, oh, like again, stages of pregnancy. This is what you should expect. Da 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 da. But birth, there's no manual. Like
Mhm.
parenting, there's no manual. Throw it out. Throw it out. Like that's one of the best things I can tell you is because we're all winging it, all of us.
Really, that
Please,
is
please,
very true. Like,
please don't
I
let
saw a
somebody tell
picture
you
with,
they know. Like, please
yeah,
don't. Please
I had
don't, because we're
someone,
all winging it.
they had posted a picture of like when you have the first child and you're like, don't touch them, and
Yep.
you clothe them in like
Yep.
organic swaddle like
Yep.
linen, and then the second kid they were just like put a post-it note on the kid and was like, this
Yeah.
is number two.
Yeah. Yeah. That's legit.
It's
I mean,
true. It's very true.
girl.
They're very different. They're
Yes.
very different.
Very different.
So we were talking about that, like actually the birth, and it's very interesting. I was watching TV, and one of the shows that I watch every once in a while, they're talking about this $5,000 baby bonus that the current administration wants to, not to make it political or anything, but I'm just going to touch on it for just a
Yeah.
second.
Let's touch on it. Let's talk
Yeah.
about it.
And this personally insulted me because one of the biggest reasons why I enjoy living in Japan is for the healthcare. Now, keeping it very real, the healthcare is not perfect over here. It's not a perfect
Right.
system. A lot of
Right.
times you go to the doctor and they be like, well, it's because you fat, or well, it's because you're a foreigner, or well, it's because you fat and you're a foreigner,
Right.
or like there's all sorts of reasons why doctors will not properly do their job here. So
Right.
you will have to search like anywhere else in the world for a good doctor that actually like listens to your cares and concerns. And as you hear my little one coughing in the background, the doctor that I take my kids to, I drive to another part of Yokohama where I live to
Right.
take my kids to that doctor because that doctor is that good.
Right.
Like, he listens, he will not prescribe you unnecessary medicine, even though the medicine is free or very, very, very cheap. He's gonna be like, do you want this? And he was like, my professional opinion is it's just gonna just ride it out, or if you really want, we can test it.
Mm.
And he's not rushing me. I don't feel like I'm bothering him if I ask a question, which I have felt at other doctors
Yeah.
before. Like, I'm
Yeah.
literally annoying them being there, asking them
Yeah.
to do their job. Or my favorite is when they just make stuff up. Like, they don't have no idea, but they just be like, yeah, that's what it is. And you're like, are you sure about that?
Like,
I feel more comfortable if they're just like, if they open a book or something or
right.
go to a website, but they're just like, is
Right.
that?
It's like,
You like, yeah, you like, okay.
roll the dice on it.
So it
Just take
is,
it
it
up.
is something, yeah, right. It's just like, it's
Yeah.
about something like that. But it
Yeah.
is something that is really great here. So when I heard they're gonna give people $5,000, first of all, $5,000 is not going to do nothing.
No.
It literally, it's insulting to people who are
No.
mothers and people who do raise children that
Yeah.
you would even consider something that insane. But
Yeah.
all politics aside, just talking about like how much it costs to have a kid, how much it costs to buy things that children need. And technically children don't need all those toys and clothes. They really just need diapers. But
Ooh,
still diapers
but
are
diapers are
crazy,
expensive. Diapers,
crazy expensive.
and especially
All
if you're
that
somebody who's, I know I won't even say particular. If your baby has sensitive skin, if
skin.
your baby
Yes.
has eczema, if they're, anything, guess what? You're not going to be able to buy the Huggies or the Pampers. You have to buy the organic diapers. And guess what?
Yeah.
The organic diapers cost more than the other diapers. Like, yeah, like,
It is
no.
so true. It's so like the cost of being pregnant. And even over here where a lot of stuff is subsidized,
Yeah.
being pregnant, being taking care of yourself while you're pregnant,
Mm.
birthing a child, actually delivering the child, then taking care of the baby, and not to mention like the mental and physical stress that it adds to your body.
Yeah.
I was just like, this was thought of by a man, obviously, because 5,000, you take that $5,000 and go smoke it,
I was
because
gonna
it's
say,
not
like,
going to motivate anybody.
that.
And that's coming from a country where you literally don't have to pay pretty much anything to have a child in Japan, because the child birth rate here is so low that they basically do pay everything, and people still aren't having kids.
Yeah.
So what made you think $5,000 would make people want
Yeah.
to? It's just mind boggling. So in my experience, um, the first time I think we paid a little bit because I had a birthing center. And then the second time it was an emergency and I paid, I think it was like equivalent of like $200 for
Mm.
diapers. The
Mm.
delivery, everything was free. Hospital stay, everything was free. But you know what I did have to pay for? And I remember it was itemized on the bill. Them diapers. I had to pay for those.
You had to pay for what?
The diapers for
The
Coral. The
Wow.
diapers, the total was about, I'd say about almost $200. That's what my hospital stay was covered. My medicine, my surgery was covered because she was emergency C-section.
Yeah.
Everything was covered. No, I did have to pay very small amount for renting the hospital gown and
Okay.
like the washing of it. I feel like it was maybe $20. But the biggest expense that I had to pay when I left out of that $200, and this was for like a month and a half stay.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was like a month stay,
Mm-hmm.
was the diaper fee. The
Wow.
diaper fee.
Wow.
So just thinking of that, like you said, motherhood is no walk in the park. It is really no joke. So thinking about the experience that you had. So you said when you had Messiah, you had him at one of the best hospitals in the area that you were living
Oh
in.
yeah. Oh yeah. So Masai was born at Hackensack Medical Center. So, again, this is going on 16 years ago. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's changed, but I can definitely say at the time this was one of the best medical facilities in the tri-state area. So staff was excellent. My doctor was excellent. I was saying to Kelsey, y'all, like my anesthesiologist, me and him was best friends. But again, my birthing plan was I was supposed to have a water birth. I was supposed to be in the birth center. I didn't want any meds, nothing. When that went out the window, that plan ended up going out the window. I went into labor on my due date. He was on
Oh
time.
wow.
We were going, and I think I got up to about maybe 6 centimeters, and I was like, okay, yeah, I would like something for the pain.
Okay.
That's when they gave me the epidural, and y'all, again, me and my anesthesiologist to this day, I don't remember your name, sir, but
Shout
just know
out to your supplier.
we for life, for life.
He came through with
When I
them
tell
drugs.
y'all, I was high as hell, because let me tell you, I had one of those click of like, oh, if you feel anything, just click the thing, click click
Were you just clicking it
click.
nonstop?
I was just click. Oh, I was so high. So, but I think also the epidural slowed down my progression, because I got to 7 and I stopped dilating. Like, stop dilating. And of course, the doctor came in. He was like, okay, we see that you've stopped. Because that's the thing. Like, they had to break my water. None of it. Like, nothing went the way I thought it was supposed to go.
You were
Doctor
just
came
clicking.
in. Yeah, he was like, "Oh, okay, you're not progressing, but we're gonna see what happens." Again, I'm high as hell because I got click, click, click. I was just like, "All right, we'll wait and see."
She like,
Woo! You know,
yay!
my ex-husband was asleep. My mom was asleep in the room. I'm just in the bed, like, yeah,
Yay!
like
We having a
just high.
baby.
I'm like, I'm having a baby, literally. And then he came back. They did. They gave me some time. I'm still high as hell. And he was like, you're not progressing. I just want to let you know we're gonna have to, do a C-section. We want to get this baby out, And I was just like, sure. Because again, I was high as hell. Like people were like, oh my gosh, you weren't freaking out. I was high.
Yeah.
I was click, click, clicking, y'all. I was click, click, clicking, click, click, clicking. They was like, they could have told me like aliens were coming. I'd be like, yay, nothing. I was just, which is probably why he's so damn happy now. Like,
Yeah, probably.
literally on the slab. I was telling him like literally when they were doing the actual surgery, I'm on the table. I was singing. I was literally singing
That's wild.
Age of Aquarius by Fifth Dimension because he's an Aquarius. And I was singing the song literally while they're pulling my baby out. Stomach stretched open, organs exposed, and I'm just with the mood. High as hell. High as hell. Like
That's wild. That
I
is
will say when he came out and he like I heard the cry, I did be like I stopped singing. I was like, oh my God, my baby, I got emotional, but I ain't feel nothing, y'all.
that's probably why he likes music to this day.
Probably.
You were singing.
I was on the operating table, high as hell, singing to my baby. I will say that was the worst come down ever, though, y'all.
I can
when
imagine.
I got off that clicker, it felt like I got hit by a truck. I was like, "What happened? I had a baby. Oh, that's wonderful." Like, yeah, nah. No, that come down was
rough. I guess that's what it's like for the real addicts.
Ooh. Ooh.
I didn't even have that option. Like the
Yeah.
beautiful birthing clinic that I was at, shout out to my girl that gave me the advice to have my child at that clinic. It was a nice experience and I was very lucky to get, the information beforehand of kind of what to expect. But you had to go to a special class for the epidural and you had to pay extra fee for that special class. Japan, they love to give you a fee for a fee for a fee. This is the fee for the fee that we're going to give you later for this fee.
And we might have to charge you another fee for that.
Another fee. And there's going to be an administrative fee on top of that.
For the possibility of having a fee.
Yeah. And you can only pay between these hours and it's going to be cash.
I was going to say.
And then we'll fax you the receipt. So that's Japan.
They love faxing.
They do.
Know what that is.
My mother as well, their grandmother, she was like, oh, let me just fax it over. I was like, you can't fax me anything because I live in 2025. But more importantly, I don't have a fax machine. Yeah, she was just like, oh, okay. And I'm the weird one. So anyways, the clinic though was a birthing clinic. It was nice, it was, everything to be expected. The class explained what an epidural was, Come time Shore is being born, they were just like, oh, she's coming too soon. Sorry, we can't give you the epidural. So we don't already pay for this class to teach us about the epidural and all those fees, but you can't get an epidural. And I remember the doctor saying, like, this is a part of being a mother. It's like feeling like he was nice about it, but I remember thinking, boy, you was crazy. Where are my drugs at?
Like, sir,
like, no,
now was not the time.
Not the time. He suited up like he was going to slaughter a cow. And that's because, he had gloves. He had, the white butcher boots.
Yeah.
He had those on. I was like, what's about to happen? Because, what my birthing experience in Catholic school was Jesus. So I didn't imagine, but it is something that nobody really tells you about. Yeah. I think a lot of people remember like how long it took for them to deliver. And maybe I'm bad in the sense that I don't remember. It was long. It was long and it was painful. It was not enjoyable. But like you remember, You had the clicker. I remember I didn't have any
Yeah.
meds. I
Mm,
was so thirsty, and I
mm,
felt like I had to the whole time. I felt
yeah.
like I needed to go to the toilet, and
Yeah.
nobody would let me go.
Yeah.
That was it was not a pleasant experience. And I remember also when I had one of my other friends, she went to a different clinic and she said that the doctor told her, she's not American, but she's Korean, and she said the
Okay.
doctor told her that Japanese women don't make noise when they have babies. And yes, 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 they told her that. And so wait, so I remember after I had given birth to
Yeah.
they pull you, like you're out of the emergency room, and they, I guess, transport you, and they're checking everything's, make sure everything's okay. And
Yeah.
I remember there was this Japanese lady that had come in before me, but she was very quiet, and she was about to give birth, and she was screaming at the top of her lungs, and I started laughing. I know those people
Like,
thought I was
wait,
crazy
I thought
because I said I
Japanese
thought they
women
don't make
don't.
no noise.
Yeah, I
So
thought
I
I was
was
like,
laughing.
is she not?
I
Like, you
was
give?
laughing, and
Oh,
the nurse was like, "Daijoubu, daijoubu," and I couldn't explain in my mind that I had just remembered. I thought y'all didn't
oh,
make any noise. She was screaming at the top
I
of her
know she was.
lungs
Of course she was.
because they
It
didn't give
hurts.
her an epidural either.
It hurts. So
Yeah,
the funny thing is, me and Kelsey literally had opposite births with our kids. So
yeah,
Messiah was a C-section. Um, Shore was a vaginal birth, natural. For
yep.
me, the opposite. Yui was a VBAC, all natural. Um,
Wow, yeah.
Coral was an emergency C-section. Literally, we have
Opposites.
opposites. Opposites.
Totally, totally. And that could be another story for another day.
Yeah.
Her Coral's birth story, because that was wild. Like just
Yeah.
being in an ambulance and being transported to different hospitals. And then some of this stuff, like I said many times, and you've also said, people will be on the internet having you believe all sorts of stories about Japan.
Yeah.
And while this is a really nice place to live, it's really great. There are some awesome things that happen all the time. This place has a lot of pluses and minuses. Some of the stuff that you see is just not true. It's
Mm,
just not, it's just wildly exaggerated. And I
mm,
say that when it comes to the healthcare system, it's
mm,
very good here. It's very reasonable, it's affordable, but you will have sometimes doctors say crazy stuff to you or
mm.
just not know what they're talking about. And that happened when I was going to the hospital to have a checkup. I feel like I was maybe 18 or 19 weeks at the time. I can't even remember. It was
Mm.
not, no, it was later on. But I remember the doctor was like, "Oh, you can't leave. Like, you have to be admitted today or your baby will die." And if someone hears that, they're like, "Oh
Right,
crap. Okay, admit
right,
me." I was like,
right.
"Are you sure? Like, what is it?" And she couldn't explain it. But there were signs along the way because I went there with my friend, my Korean friend that I was telling you. We wanted to find the sex of the baby, and every time she couldn't tell us, or there was, you're
Mm.
not able to see. And later we found out, like, this lady just didn't know how to do her job. She relied on the fact that she
You
was
know
an
what? I
English
remember
speaker,
this. I
and
remember.
and
I
that's
remember.
the thing. Yeah, she relied on the fact that she was an English speaker, and I wanted a doctor who spoke English, even though
Yeah,
I can understand Japanese. When it comes to your lady bits and your child
yeah,
being born,
yeah.
you want someone that speaks your native language because there's
Right.
so many nuances, medical terms, things. And I regret that because she made the experience really, really bad and
Bad.
probably led to most of my stress.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
have a healthy child now today, but I'm tell you, people, even though the healthcare here is very reasonable, you do have to search for a good
Right.
doctor because they are few and far between.
Well, I mean, that just kind of goes back to what we've always said. At the end of the day, um, no country is perfect. No
Mhm.
matter what influencers say, no matter
Right.
how cute social media makes it out to be, or how Instagrammable the picture looks, or how viral the food is, no place is perfect.
True,
And
true.
it's a totally different thing going to visit a country and actually living
Yes.
in the country. Those
Yes.
are two totally different things, and please don't get it twisted.
Yes.
No place is perfect.
Mhm.
Of course, you know what's best for you,
Mhm.
and that's how
Mhm.
you make that decision. But please don't, and then want to get mad about it and be like, oh, they ain't saying that. I was like, well,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a problem listening to the internet and these influencers who, no, they was there for like 2 days, and it
Yeah,
was paid
exactly.
for, and then they're not
Probably,
going to
yeah,
pay
paid
for
for by
the
someone.
house. So no, of course. I'm like, that's on you for not doing your
Mhm.
research and whatnot. But kind of to piggyback on what you were talking about earlier about doing your research as far as your providers go. And this is across the board, not even just in Japan. Even when I was pregnant with you, I switched doctors in the middle of my pregnancy.
Yeah, yeah, I do remember that. You did. And
I
people were like, "Are you sure?" You know.
I was like 20, I was like well into my
Mhm.
pregnancy and had a very, very degrading encounter with a physician. Um, and literally, and thank God for my doula. Folks, let me, okay. If you're gonna have, spectin whatever, I highly, 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 if you can afford it, if it's in the budget, or maybe if you're doing your budgeting, if you can finesse and have a doula, get a doula. I
Yeah.
can't recommend it like enough. Honestly, I still have books here, y'all. I was even studying to become a doula. That's how that experience was just magnificent. My doula said to me, if you do not feel comfortable with this person, I don't care if they're a doctor. I don't care how long they've been practicing. I don't care if she's a woman. I don't care if she's got awards. If you don't feel safe, comfortable, I don't care if you deliver in a week, get a new doctor. She was like, I
Yeah.
will help you find a new doctor. So, as Kelsey was saying earlier, do your research. If you are with a physician, regardless if it's for birth, if it's for your feet, if it's for your eyes, if it's your primary,
Anything.
if you are not happy, if you don't feel like you're being heard, if you don't feel comfortable or that your care is not where it should be, get a new doctor. And if you
Yeah.
have to go to several people, then go to several people, whether
That's true.
it's
Yeah.
physical, whether it's a therapist, whatever the case may be. If you don't feel like it's a good fit, I'm can't stress it enough, my friends. Like, if you don't feel like it's a good fit, because your health is the most important thing, you know it don't matter how much money you got, because
Right.
guess what, yeah, well, I don't know how they doing now, but you can't get a new body,
Yeah, that's
no
true.
matter how many surgeries they do or whatever. Take care of your body. You only have
And
one. It's a temple. It really is a temple. And the people who you trust with it, you have to trust them. That's the
really
point.
trust.
You
Yeah.
got to trust your doctors. You have to, you have to, you have to. That's a big thing that I just wanted to piggyback on. Like,
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like I said, I drive to this
yeah.
other clinic far from my house because I trust this person. I value what they have to say, and they also seem to value my time.
Mm,
And it's also really nice, like, and maybe it's just, what do you say, bedside manner.
yeah.
But I also feel like when I go to that doctor, he asks me, oh, like, I think she's, in this grade now. How's it going? He seems to remember, like, does she still play tennis, or
Uh,
do they still like that? And it may just be a little something that he remembers about every kid, or he may say the same thing. I don't know. But it definitely makes me feel comfortable. And that's why I
right,
continue to go there. If
right.
you are not comfortable, I feel like in any situation, but especially when it comes to your health, like I
Oh,
said, I had a doctor once that was just like, oh, it's because what was it? He was just like, oh, it's just because you're a foreigner. And then he said, oh, well, it's maybe because you're overweight, but it could also be because you're getting older. And I was like, pretty sure those are three different
just
things and they may be connected,
throwing
but they may
just throwing
not.
it all out there.
But
Yeah.
he didn't even offer to do like, okay, let's take some blood and send
Right,
run some tests. He
right.
was just like, I'm gonna prescribe you something and you could try it for like a week and see how it works out. Do you know this man prescribed when I saw the paper, he basically prescribed me like a fever reducer. I literally threw that prescription away and went about my business to another doctor, And it turned out to be anemia, but it's just the fact that he was just like, oh, it could be because you're a foreigner.
Yeah.
Like our bodies are not literally made out of the same organs. Like, do you have a different organ from me? And then he was like, oh, it could be because of your weight. Maybe it's because you're getting older. And I'm just like, okay, we're not gonna check nothing. We're not gonna do some blood work. Yeah. So if you don't feel comfortable, definitely
Yeah.
keep it moving because at the end of the day, um, they'll say that they helped you to the best of their ability
Oh
and you'll be
yeah.
gone.
Oh, definitely.
Hmm.
Definitely. I went to a gynecologist for a little bit. He was, again, renowned. Um Lots of awards, had
Hmm.
lots of patients, but the for me the bedside manner was, I'm like, sir, like, my legs are up in the air, and you just
Yeah.
fiddling whatever, and then just literally not even looking at me. Okay, so yeah, I'll see you back here, and then bye, out the door. And I'm like, legs still up in the air, and I'm like, okay, like,
Yeah.
it just, some people, that's what they want. Some people don't want the bedside manner. Some people, you have to do what is best for you. And if that means, like I said, if you got to go from physician to physician, or school to school, or whatever the case may be, I think, we really have to learn how to, one, know our worth and what we're worthy and what our needs are. And if those needs aren't being met, it's okay to continue searching until those needs are fulfilled. Like I said, whether it's your career, whether it's a doctor, whether it's your school, whatever, whether it's a partner, whether it's, whatever the case may be, a place to live, like,
Yeah.
oh, I thought I liked the suburbs, but now that I'm in the suburbs, I don't like it. Maybe I do want to live in the country.
Yeah.
It's like, you really, really have to be honest with yourself, and I feel
Mhm.
like we come to a point where people really do live this keeping up with the Joneses thing. Like, you're not happy, you know, you're just doing this because somebody else is doing it. Like, I feel like we've almost become a society that runs on peer pressure, whatever everybody else is doing, or who can be, the next viral person, or, oh my gosh, I'm gonna make this matcha because right now matcha's trending and it's viral, but I hate matcha, but I'm gonna keep buying it. I'm gonna keep spending money. I'm gonna keep now, that's not me, y'all. I do love matcha. Like, I do. I
And
do actually
I
love.
do not. So, but
Right.
you will not
You
catch
don't.
me making. You will not catch me
But
making a
but
matcha
you
video.
will have these people who will just, it's like we've really become this, look at me, everything's in this bubble and it has to look a certain way, and
Mhm.
people want to believe the lies,
Yeah,
even
that's
to
very
their
true.
detriment. So,
That is very, very true. Very true for real. I mean, I think, doubling back, like you said, with the finding a doctor that advocates for you, or just someone that you feel comfortable with, whether it be like your doula, your dentist, your gyno, whoever it is. I also think you have to also advocate for yourself too,
self, yes,
and if there's
yes,
something that you don't like or you want a second opinion,
yes,
just do, like, you need to do it. You need
yeah,
to just go get it. If you, like you said, you left at a very critical point in your pregnancy and we're like, no,
yep,
I'm getting somebody else.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
I was luckily transferred from that hospital to another hospital. Thank God, because my experience at the other hospital that I went to was a million times better than what I had at the original hospital.
mm,
And the funny thing is, so when I was pregnant with Coral, the doctor, she didn't really have the best bedside manner, but she knew her stuff and she was very matter of fact and answered your question. So you can answer a million questions, and she would answer them, but she wasn't like, hi, how are you? Like, she wasn't like
right.
that. She was just very
Well,
textbook,
this is what
which
it
I
is.
liked though. Yeah,
Right.
she was, because she was also
Right.
knowledgeable. She was like, you're pregnant. I don't really handle pregnancies. Tell me what hospital you want to go to. This is your second one. You want to go back to where you were? Because they have to write you a letter. And so she had told me, I recommend you go to a big hospital that has a lot of experience instead of a smaller clinic, just in case anything goes wrong because you're getting older. And I appreciated that advice. And so I picked a hospital that some other friends had births at, and it was new and, well, not new, but it was newer and pretty from the list and everything. And she said, I think you should go to Yokohama Shirai, which is Yokohama City University. She said that hospital has a lot of great doctors, a lot of experience with the foreign community. And I was like, no, I want this pretty hospital over here. And that's the hospital she wrote me the letter for. And that's the hospital that I got taken away in an ambulance and transferred
And
to
transfer.
where? Yokohama City
Yokohama,
University.
yep, uh-huh.
where my daughter was
She was
where my
like,
daughter was born and taken care of with the utmost care. Let me tell you, those doctors, when I got in there, they were talking about me like I guess they thought I couldn't hear because I had come in the ambulance.
right.
And they were saying stuff and I was like responding, but I was really quiet because riding an ambulance is quite scary. Excuse Coral, she's got a little bit of cold.
Yeah.
And so they were talking and talking, and then I was explaining what happened at the previous hospital, and they were in awe. Like, they couldn't believe that she said, like, oh, your baby's gonna die. Like, they were like, even if that's the case, that's not what you would say to someone
right.
in those words.
Right.
And I thought, oh, well, maybe it's because of the language issue, or they were like, no. And from that point on, the doctors, the nurses, everyone was amazing, but I also didn't get any drugs. There were no drugs. So that's a Japan thing, though. That's a Japan thing. But no, there was no clicker. There was no automatic supply.
Oh, girl, I'm sorry.
So I didn't have that same euphoria delivering my child, but she was born safe and she was born healthy, and they did have an amazing NICU. They made a book. I still have it, a journal where they put like pictures of her in there every day, and they decorated it with stickers and told you like, this is how much she weighed. And there was this nurse that was in there, and let me tell you, he was fine. You know how they have their scrubs and the arms be like all tight around the muscle?
Yep.
I don't remember his name, but he was so nice. And I remember her dad was like, he's probably gay, just hating for no reason. But he was so handsome. And he was just like, here's your baby. Hold her. Keep her close to you. He's like, I've been with her all day, but it's your turn now.
Oh.
And he's like, take your he was just like, when he spoke, it was just, it was beautiful. And then when she left there, he was like, she's not leaving, she's graduating to the next day. This was an English girl. In English too. And he was like, it was him and another person there that spoke English. He was like, we've made this journal of our experiences with Coral. Before it was like your last name and the baby. Yeah. And he was like, now that you've named her Coral, and we've drawn pictures and written her letters, and we wish her the best in life. And I was just like,
see, yes. Shout out to all the male nurses out there. We love
you.
Gay or straight or trans or
it didn't matter. He was just, he was just hating because he was beautiful. His body was beautiful. He had a beautiful soul, and he was taking care of my child, and he was beautiful as he did it. I think that's what it was. He was just a hater. But it was a good experience. And then it was a full circle because that was a hospital that I was originally supposed to be at anyways in the beginning.
See?
So, and even when I went back, because I had to go back every once in a while to get checkups for her. Yeah. And I had to get checkups for myself, and they'd be like, wow, she looks amazing. Because when she was born, she was only 1,500 grams. I don't know what that is in
pounds.
Yeah.
What's that? Also, so folks,
let me embarrass myself.
Cora was premature. She was born early. So, hence
3.3 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, she was in the baby box. She was in the incubator for the first like almost 2 months of her life.
Yeah,
she had a tube and everything, and as someone had a perfectly normal birth the first time, and then experiencing that, it was very scary, but it helped. And his name is in the book because I still have the journal that they wrote. But that nurse, and even the doctor that I had, because there's a team of doctors, but the one that actually delivered the baby, I think her name was Sugihara, maybe, I can't remember, but she didn't speak any English. The other team doctors did, but she didn't really. But this lady went and wrote every single thing that she did, every single paper she gave me. She went and hand wrote it with the English above the Japanese.
Aww.
And I ended up writing a letter to Yokohama City and the hospital later to express like how thankful I was for just them doing that. I get it, that's their job, but I felt like they went above and beyond.
That's above and beyond.
You
That's
know, because
above
she should have just been like, baby,
and
deliver
America's
now.
never gonna do that. So this is one of the times, y'all, I am gonna compare and be like, yeah, they doing the right thing over there. And don't get me wrong, I worked at a hospital. I actually worked on labor delivery back in the day at the Grady in Atlanta, Georgia.
The Grady.
When I tell
Grady
you,
babies.
Nurses, CAs, surgery, all of y'all, doctors, I applaud you because that's not a profession that was for me, and I have so much respect. But y'all ain't doing what they was doing. y'all look good in y'all scrubs though, but y'all ain't doing what Japan was doing.
I was so, and then she got transferred because I think the way their system is, they're only at a hospital for so many years or whatever.
Yeah.
But I found out that lady was younger than me. She was younger than me.
Wow.
So it was a great experience. And even though it didn't cost hardly anything to do that here in Japan, the cost of raising children, of making sure that they're healthy, of just the bare necessities, it's still, you can't raise a kid on the bare necessities, just the basic necessities. You have to give them more. But it's just the cost. It's never ending.
It's never ending. I will say kids get more expensive the older they get. I feel like I'm going through that now. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. They are expensive, which is that's another reason why a lot of people will not have kids. You know, I think that you do have people who would make wonderful parents, but they choose, they're like, look, I don't want to struggle. I don't want to be broke. I'll be, you know, the rich auntie. I'll be the rich uncle. I'll be, you know,
we do need those rich aunties and uncles, though.
I'll be the supportive godmother. I'll be the supportive godfather. You know, I'll be the great grunkle. You know, your gay uncle, and you know,
grunkle. I love it.
Willing to do those things because a lot of the times people are just like, you know, I would love to have kids, but I don't want to go broke having them. You know, I get it, and like you said, to even come back to it, $5,000 does not equate to the amount of money it takes to raise a child, let alone more than one. Let alone more than one. We're just literally talking about one child. I think like 10 years ago, it was like $164,000 or something like that to raise one child.
Yeah,
one child.
Yeah. It's not even in it. It's
multiple kids.
I can't. It's just crazy. It's crazy if you think about it. Like, it's just not enough. And then you also need to have, like you said, support. You need to have people who support you. You need to have, like, I'm very lucky that, you know, like my parents back home are super supportive. Their grandparents here are supportive. I have friends here. I have friends back home. But if you don't have a community, just imagine, like, that's even harder. You know, it's very difficult. So I get it. And then some people that can't have children, I'm very lucky I wasn't one of them, but can you imagine like having to pay for IVF? And that is crazy expensive.
Girl, any
going into debt to have a child.
I was gonna say you've already put yourself in debt. Some people are very fortunate that they have companies that will assist or help. That's a blessing. But when it's coming out of your pocket, like you said, it's like you know, when you need assistance and this is something that you want and a dream that you have and a purpose you want to walk in, of course you're gonna, you know, do whatever you got to do. But it's like you're already starting off in debt, and then you about to get in more debt.
More debt,
you know, It's wild. It's wild, and especially when some, a lot of these expected parents or future parents or aspiring parents, they have to do a few treatments. It's not like it's one and
It's not
done.
like, yeah, you got it. And no, it doesn't work
So,
like that. It doesn't work like that at all.
some people, but it's very minute where it's like, oh, one round and we were good. Most of these parents are doing it 3,
Yeah,
4
several
times.
times.
Like
Yeah.
it's wild. It's wild. But $5,000. Hey, $5,000, and you get that after you have the baby, not while you pregnant. Not while you pregnant. You get that's once they've recorded and have proof that the baby's here. Here you go. Don't ask us for nothing else. That's the thing.
Oh, I could go off on a tangent about
Girl.
so much, but let me
Girl.
give you some okazu. So, speaking about just childbirth and, a little, just things that went well, things that people helped you with, whether it be from childbirth or to even now. Today's okazu, like the little side dish, for me, I would say really random acts of kindness, like just people that, I remember once I was having a breakdown. So they have the nursing rooms here in most shopping malls. They're really nice. That's a thing that Japan does really well. They have the bathrooms. They have the family bathrooms. Family bathrooms are like anybody. If
Right.
you have a medical thing, you gotta, empty your what do they call the bags that people will have? The ones that have surgery. Oh,
Oh, the colostomy bags and stuff.
yes, yes, they have those. So for people that need to empty those or handicap in a wheelchair,
Yeah.
it's like a family bathroom. And then next to that, they have the nursing rooms that are usually will have a sofa, a separate curtain. If you make formula, the formulas in Japan need to have hot water and then they have to be cooled down after. So they'll have all these supplies. In most of the shopping malls, they have those here in Japan, which is great. They even have sometimes places for like the husband to wait, or sometimes they'll have joint nursing rooms, which is new and I've seen, which I really like. Gender neutral or joint, which means
Um.
like the husband can go in there and prepare the bottle,
Yeah.
or vice versa. So anyways, I remember I had a breakdown. I had spilled the formula. It went everywhere. It was my last one. Just diaper had exploded and got clothes changed, but part of the explosion was still on me. It was just the end of the day. I was by myself and I
Right.
was ready to just be like, it's done. It's a wash. I'm
Right.
over it. And this random like younger lady walked in by accident. I guess she thought it was the bathroom. And I think she saw me sitting there and she was just like, Daijoubu, Daijoubu. And I was like, Daijoubu, which I'm okay, but I
Uh,
wasn't okay. And she ran back out. And I guess I had just like scared her. But a few minutes later, I was just sitting there thinking about my life and just how horrible it was going. Um, this was Shore. Shore was happily just drinking her bottle now. And I'm just covered in poop and crap everywhere.
uh,
She came back in and she had bought like a pack of baby wipes. She had bought a bottle of mugicha, barley tea that
yeah.
was cold. She bought a long, like, kind of neck towel type thing that had a print on it. So it could be like a scarf too, to
Uh,
cover up where she had thrown up, and just
uh,
gave it to me. And she just gave it to me and she was just like, and then I was just like, I was in such shock. I was like, I should pay you. And she was like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. And then she left. And
uh.
like that, those random acts of kindness from people, it just
See,
like, I don't know,
that's
that
the
touched my
stuff
soul.
I
I
be
still
like,
remember. I remember what she looks like. I remember what she looks like. I know she was younger. She looked really cute.
uh,
It was also summer and it was just hot. It was just
uh,
so much. And I think she just was like, this mom's going through it.
going
Let
through
me,
it.
yeah. So
Mm.
those random acts of kindness, like, did you ever experience that? Even if it wasn't random, but just someone really just
Um,
helping you out.
I'm trying. I definitely have. I can't think at the moment
Or maybe you were that for someone else.
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember like maybe a few months ago. So when I commute to work, because I have to fly out of LAX, and of course I'm coming from the Valley, most of the time I will take the flyaway because I don't want to deal with LA traffic. I like staying in my bubble, y'all. But I was literally leaving the airport, getting like, waiting for the flyaway, and this young man spoke very, very little English. Could tell, he was new, like just coming in, and he was trying to say, oh, I can take this bus and it'll take me here. And I'm like, yeah, you just pay and then they'll take you to, this destination and you meet whoever. He's like, oh, and all he had was cash, but this is a card, cashless. No, and
Yeah.
they're very big on like, no, we not taking it. No, you can't get on. So I told him, I was like, nope, I got it. I'll pay for you. Don't worry about it. I got you. And he kept trying to give me the money. I said, no, keep your money. It's okay.
Yeah.
I got you. So I bought his ticket, got him to Union Station where he needed to go. When we got off the bus, I guess his people were waiting, and I guess he was telling them like, "Oh my gosh, she bought me a ticket." And they were like honking at me. They were trying to like wave me down. I was like, "I'm trying to go home, y'all, but you welcome." But you're right. It's like that whole thing. You pay it forward. It's true. I definitely believe it. You never know whose life your blessing, like, and it could be the simplest thing. It doesn't have to be, buying something or whatever. It could just be, like you said, asking somebody if they're okay, or just listening.
Yeah.
Or you really never know what people are going through, and how much just those little things can help. So, when I can help, I help. Like I said, I can't off the top of my dome think of something, but there's been so many random acts of kindness that I've experienced. And again, like I said, I try my best. When it happens to me, I need to pay it forward. I need to so
that's true. That's very true. Be kind.
Be
to
kind,
everyone.
always. Be kind,
because you never know what people are going through, or just how you may, like you said, how you may change them or help them. And it's something that we don't even think about, like with that guy Cash. He probably thought he was going to be okay because he had the money.
Yep.
And then
exactly
and who knows, he could have been really screwed in the end if nobody had helped him.
Right.
Just stuck out there, family wondering what happened.
Right. So it's the little things. It's the little things. This world will be a better place if people were just a little kinder, and it don't, a lot of times it don't cost you nothing. Don't cost.
That is very true. It does not cost you anything to be kind.
To be kind,
the easiest thing that you could do.
So easy,
and free.
So on that note, y'all, be kind always.
Be kind. Be
kind. Yeah.
Well, I guess that we should wrap it up here.
Wrapping it up, y'all.
Wrapping it up. This has been Collard Greens and Sushi. Thanks for watching, and definitely leave your comments, leave your questions. If you want to know about like just childbirth, pregnancy more in detail, whether it be Melinda's journey, my journey, anything that you want advice about. We're not experts, but we can definitely lead you and let you know what worked for us.
Yes.
And be sure to follow us, subscribe, and of course, like this.
Yes. Bye, y'all.
Until the next time. See you guys.
Sorry,
bye.
Background. Bye.